Michael Burry, the world-famous investor who is featured in the movie The Big Short, he recently sold all of his stock.
Michael Burry's warning for the 2022 stock market crash.
Michael Burry is predicting a stock market crash.
Michael Burry made a very unique and interesting position on what he thinks happens over the next 3 to 6 months in this economy, and I think that he is spot on.
In 2008, one man saw what others couldn't, an impending financial doom, and made a bet of $1.6 billion against the housing market. His name, Michael Burry. A maverick in his field, Burry dared to challenge the status quo, going against the grain of the bustling, often overconfident financial industry. At a time when the housing market was thought to be invincible, Burry saw through the facade. He perceived the insidious rot within the system, a rot that would ultimately lead to one of the greatest financial crises in history.
The whole housing market is propped up on these bad loans. They will fail.
The housing market is rock solid.
It's a time bomb.
In the midst of this, Burry was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. This revelation didn't deter him. Instead, it gave him a new perspective. His ability to focus intensely on intricate details, a common trait among those with Asperger's, became a strength in his financial pursuits. From a budding doctor to a self-taught investor, Michael Burry was always different, always ahead. His unique mindset and relentless curiosity set the stage for his unprecedented bet, a bet that would shake the financial world to its core. As he dug into the maze of the financial world, he found a monstrous beast lurking in the shadows, the housing bubble. A man of precision and thought, Burry had a knack for seeing the unseen. He began to delve deep into the mortgage lending practices of the time. What he found was a house of cards, built on shaky ground. Mortgages were being handed out like candy on Halloween.
So how much of these things did you buy? I mean, you got out of everything else and bought credit default swaps betting against the housing market, right?
Right, we bought basically short $8.4 billion of credit default swaps related to mortgages or financial companies.
You must have been pretty confident that this thing was going to blow up.
Well, we had a giant bet for us, and I was extremely confident in the outcome.
Were your investors as confident?
I think a few investors were.
Some of them thought you were crazy. Some of them probably thought you'd lost your mind.
I know for sure that some of them thought I lost my mind.
So you made a ton of money?
Made a ton of money. Much more than I ever imagined, I'd ever have.
Were your clients grateful?
I think a lot of clients were just glad to be done with it at the end.
Even though they doubled their money?
Well, we made $725 million, I think, on the funds in 2007. And in the first 6 months of 2008, there was about $730 million in withdrawals. Perhaps I had made the trade too big for the fund, and my confidence in the trade had ticked off some people.
Even though you made them rich?
It's remarkable. There are investors who made tens of millions off this, and we're still pretty upset.
Prices were skyrocketing and homes were being treated as golden geese laying endless eggs of wealth. But Burry saw through the glitter. He saw that these golden eggs were in fact hollow. The homes were overpriced and the mortgages backing them were risky. The more he looked, the clearer it became. The housing market was a bubble, inflated by reckless lending and blind optimism. And like all bubbles, it was bound to burst.
Basically, Louis Ranieri's mortgage bonds were amazingly profitable for the big banks. They made billions and billions on their 2% fee they got for selling each of these bonds. But then they started running out of mortgages to put in them. After all, there are only so many homes and so many people with good enough jobs to buy them, right? So the banks started filling these bonds with riskier and riskier mortgages. Thank you, Banjo. That way, they can keep that profit machine churning, right? By the way, these risky mortgages are called subprime. So whenever you hear subprime, think shit. Our friend Michael Burry found out that these mortgage bonds that were supposedly 65% AAA were actually just mostly full of shit. So now he's going to short the bonds, which means to bet against. Got it? Good. Now fuck off.